Hi guys, I'm Nadiah, the creative editor for the NEP. Welcome to the first part of the Student Entrepreneurship podcast. In the first part, I'm with Thomas and Hugo from Greenr. So do you guys want to introduce yourselves and talk a little bit about what Greenr is?
Yeah, hi Nadiah, thanks for having us. My name's Thomas Panton. I'm the founder and CEO of Greenr.
And I'm Hugo Douglas-Deanne. I'm also co-founder and chief marketing officer.
And Greenr is all about accessibility for sustainable shopping. So we're building a multi-vendor marketplace which brings vetted, ethical brands, creating more sustainable products into one place where we show the impact of those products. So we show how much carbon emissions, water and plastic is saved on every purchase to make it easier to purchase with a purpose.
Okay, great. So the first question we have, how would you solve the issue of customers who do not want to be associated with the eco movement?
That's a great question. So I think Greenr is all about accessibility and making it easier for everyone to buy better and shop more sustainably. So whether that's swapping out certain items around the home for great ethical alternatives, or for people to learn more about issues that matter within that. And I think for us, when we started, we looked around at what's out there. And when it comes to buying ethically, it's mostly very eco-warrior. And we don't necessarily identify with that, but also a lot of consumers don't necessarily identify that. I don't know if Hugo wants to talk a little bit about why the brand addresses that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So as Thomas said, we sort of did look around and we felt like we didn't really identify with that kind of look and that kind of style of the movement. So we really wanted to sort of build the brand and the platform to be kind of bolder, cooler, just a bit more trendy, a bit more accessible to people like us who don't necessarily consider themselves like eco warriors, inverted commas there, because there's no two ways about it really. Living more sustainably is something we're all going to need to start doing. We've all seen the sort of the IPCC reports and all the sorts of environment reports in the last couple of years. So for us, it's about making it easier, more fun, and more approachable. And I might pass back to Thomas on. I wanted to say something about education as well, actually. And he's currently studying an MSc in climate change, so this might be a good thing for him to touch on, actually.
Yeah, so I think, how do you engage people who aren't associated with the movement? Usually people aren't associated with the movement because it's just super complicated and really hard to engage with and interact with, especially once you get to the more scientific level. Like, you shouldn't expect everyone to be climate scientists or sort of development economists or anything like that to understand that there's a climate crisis and then make those changes, right? So Greenr has this huge focus on education, but accessible education to help show people wherever they are on that journey, sort of why the issues are important for all of us, but then also how they can sort of join that movement without necessarily having to identify as the eco-warrior, inverted commas, that Hugo was talking about. I think, finally, to sort of engage people like buying things. So there are really just loads of great products that people might not know are necessarily eco, or, the least sort of have heard about smaller ones or the mainstream ones like Patagonia or Veja Shoes, who are actually full of sustainability driven mission, but don't necessarily push that as their leading sort of title, right? And people might be buying those products without necessarily knowing they are actually already part of the movement. So that's really good.
Okay, yeah, that's great. And what would you say, based on experience, is an important key element to have when starting a business?
Cool, yeah, so I'll take this from the beginning. This is my second time starting a business, and it comes down to being super passionate about what you're tackling, the problem that you're trying to solve, and just loving your mission. You can't embark on starting a business unless you are behind that 100% as an individual. But the vision goes, beyond that immediate plan. I mean, just to give you an example, when I first started Greenr, it was like, we're going to build Amazon, but sustainable. And we're going to offer like next day, super eco-friendly delivery and all these things. And it's going to completely revolutionize the e-commerce industry. And whilst that might be a really long-term vision, you've got to just break it down again and see how that relates to your customer or your end user. What's their problem? What are they suffering with? And how is your solution going to help them do that? And then you can really get to the crux of that when you sort of tell them about your product or service. But obviously, it always comes from that point of passion and love for what you're doing and an interest in the sector that you're working in. And I mean, I started this, from coming out of another company, which I was a single solo founder, and I'm embarking on this mission with two great founders, and that comes down to, I mean, a great team. And I mean, Hugo can talk a bit about that because, he's new founder.
Yeah. So yeah, I did help Thomas out on his first business, and it was such an amazing experience to work with like a team of people. But really, Thomas was the person leading that on his own, and I think that was probably, I imagine that was really tough. I know how hard it is just, working in a team of three, as Thomas says. So I think, yeah, surround yourself with people that really that know what they're doing, but also again, have that passion. And I think that's the one thing that really just comes back to me like every now and then is just how much we're all just so passionate about it, and how much we care about every part of it. Our roles, I think, in a startup and in any kind of smaller business, your roles do really kind of merge, and you do a bit of everything. And I think we've got involved in every aspect of this business. So you do have to sort of wear lots of different hats. I think that's another thing that you kind of have to be prepared to do. But just enjoy it. I mean, I'm traditionally from a marketing background, but I sort of really learned over the last couple of years that just doing all these other parts of a business are like really interesting to me, and something I hadn't had any experience in. So I think if nothing comes out of Greenr, if the whole thing falls apart and goes up in flames, I've learned so much in the last couple of years, and I've learned a lot about myself and what I'm capable of. So I think, having that kind of going in with that sort of awareness of like having that you're going to be doing lots of different things. And I think, like covering off all the bases really is really important, obviously, because, Thomas has got really good expertise in the kind of financial side of things and the kind of the projections and like looking at where the business is going. I've got that marketing kind of sales background, and Emma, our co-founder, has got that tech background. So we really wanted to kind of cover all those bases and build like an A team. So I think that's really important.
I think also like adding to that, when you're starting a business, you don't have to know everything. If you go into it thinking that you are the smartest person in the world and you know all the answers to everything, then you're not going to get very far. And actually, the people around you who you can listen to and learn from will help you build the best business. And your idea that, it is your idea, that's fantastic. But then you can take that idea and actually make a sustainable economic business from it. And, it's not a problem, it's okay not to know everything. And actually we would probably encourage that. So, when we work with other people, we want to be sort of the dumbest people in that room, right? We want to surround ourselves with super smart people, and we'll always make sure that whoever we employ or whoever we work with, whether it's agency or intern, that whatever they're doing, they might actually know more than us, and that's going to help us make a better business.
Yeah, I love that idea of being the kind of the dumbest person in the room, because it's something that I think, like, especially as a young founder and as a founder of like a business that will be working with lots of we're looking to really scale this and make it a really big business, and we will therefore need to employ lots of really, really knowledgeable people. So like, I think I knew that we'd have to come to terms with this situation where, you're employing people that know more than you. And I think that's, it's such a funny situation to be in, but it's great I remember when you said that to me, Thomas, and I've heard it around since, and it's kind of quite. It's nice to know that's what you want to do, and when you think about that, you think about how, you know, your manager in your job, your day job, whatever it is, that you might have a more traditional career path. That's really what they're looking for as well. You know, you might not be at that point yet, but they want to get you to that point. So that's a really exciting thing, I think, for the future is being aware of that and looking forward to it as well.
Okay, yeah, that's perfect. So last question. Why do you think your business will emerge in the current world?
It's a very good question. I mean, we don't want to sound arrogant when answering it, of course. I think we really believe that we've made a business that is for the current world, of course, but is absolutely future focused as well. We're going into a market which is growing more rapidly than its sort of counter market. So ethical consumerism grew by 400% in the same time that household spending only grew by 2%. So we absolutely know that people want to be shopping better and that they're actually spending better as well, right? So we know that that's going to be a market that's going to keep growing in the future, even though it might not be the dominant market right now. So, you know, we feel and from our research, and I think, again, you know, harking back to the previous question as well, you need to know your market fit. You need to know the sort of market validation and your consumer research. You know, make sure that people actually want what you're solving. You know, if it's not a problem to most people, then you haven't got a business. And I think we have that. You know, the pandemic, I mean, has been a huge disruption and upheaval for businesses, but it's absolutely supercharged the growth for ethical consumerism and more sustainable products and a real insight into how a business is better and why are we supporting this business. And, you know, that really represents in the consumer way of shopping. You know, more than a third of UK shoppers said they were more concerned about climate change as a result of the pandemic. So these sorts of things are becoming more and more frequent. Hugo mentioned the IPCC report. These all bode really well for Greenr, but also just for any business that is focused on sustainability, impact, and purpose. It is the future. Investors know it, consumers want it, and businesses have to start changing because of regulations and laws. So, you know, it makes absolute sense to build a business in that area now.
Yeah, and just to add to that, like when I helped you out, Thomas, with Vestovers, so that business was looking at the festival waste crisis, and we were sort of talking to people during the festival, and they were so enthused about the idea of the business. And I think there's something to be said really for, you know, no matter what your business model is, no matter like how exactly, you know, the nitty-gritty of how you work and what your commission is and how you're going to drive sales and all this stuff, you know, as a kind of marketing officer and as like the person that like looks at our brand and I'm trying to think about, you know, what is our like worth to like people in the UK that are like, looking at us. And I think it's so rewarding to have this thing at the heart of our business that is, we're trying to combat the climate crisis. Like this is really important, and we haven't really faced a sort of crisis like this, you know, ever in humanity. So I think, you know, it's really nice to have that absolute focus. Like at the end of the day, like no matter what we are doing, that is kind of our end goal is helping do like fight that, and helping people make better choices. So I think there's a lot of inherent worth in that, which is, I think, how that sort of really prepares us for the future. Like no matter what is happening, there's always going to be like, we're always going to have to be thinking about this now from now on, you know, well, since yesterday really, you know, from now on. But yeah, and people are thinking about it, you know. I did some research recently about Amazon, and people who shop on Amazon, and a third of them feel guilty about shopping on Amazon. I mean, that is pretty monumental. A third of people who buy on Amazon feel guilty, and I think we've all felt that, you know, when you have had to buy things on Amazon, people are worried about environmental impact on workers' rights, and the fact that they don't pay tax properly. You know, those are the three real causes of that. So I think that does really prime us for the future.
Yeah, definitely. And it just comes down to that. Like, we have a real chance to build something that focuses on offering a great solution, but a selection of solutions to people, right? Products. People like buying. We're not trying to change people's social mindsets. We're not trying to make them change their habits. They just have to go to a different website or open a different app, and suddenly their impact on this planet is drastically reduced because the products they're buying are all tailored and made by these great ethical companies that care about the planet, care about their people. And then suddenly we're able to buy in the same way we've been buying for the last 20, 30 years, but we're able to do it in a more sustainable way. What a fantastic thing to take into the future. And that's what we're really trying to do with Greenr.
Okay, yeah, that's great. Thank you so much, guys, for answering all the questions. Hi, everyone. I'm Nadiah. Welcome to the second part of the Student Entrepreneurship podcast. In this part, I'm with James and Mo from Squiish. So do you guys want to introduce yourself and talk a little bit about what Squiish is?
Yeah, sure. So my name is James, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Squiish, which is a startup that started a couple of years ago. And we've partnered with the University of East Anglia, of which we're both graduates. And our aim is to produce single dose personal care pods, so kind of shampoo, conditioner, that kind of thing. And if you think about laundry pods and dishwasher tablets, it's a similar concept, but for personal care. And that's what we're kind of aiming to do at the moment. I'll let Mo introduce himself now.
So my name is Mo. Like James said, I've also studied at UEA, and we met during our master's course on the brand leadership course at UEA. I guess that's all for now.
Okay, great. So let's get into the questions. The first question we have, what are the sustainability issues within your sector?
So this is the most interesting question, I think, for us, because the sustainability problems are the reason why we started in the first place. So the issue came from, I guess, James, you should say this part, because the light bulb moment happened with James. So if you want to say that part, James, then I'll continue after that.
Yeah, so the initial concept of Squiish, I came up with the idea basically when I was staying in a hotel bathroom. Well, I was staying in a hotel, not actually in the bathroom, but in the bathroom, there was a plaque that asks you to reuse the towels to help the environment, which is typical of kind of hotels all over the world. But it was sitting next to 3 of the miniature shampoo conditioner bottles that are also typical of hotels all over, that get kind of thrown away as soon as any of the amount of inside is used. And a lot of hotels say they like to recycle them, but we know a lot don't, because the maids just kind of come in, put them in the bin, and then they're in landfill. So I thought there must be kind of a better way to kind of stop greenwashing your customers and say you care about the environment and saying one thing and doing another thing. And so I thought, there must be a better way to have liquid personal care products in like a hotel setting or something like that didn't require plastic. And that's where the idea came from. And very early on, I got Mo involved. I told him the idea. He liked the idea. We came up with the concept of pods. So you look to kind of laundry pods and dishwasher tablets, as I said before, this kind of dissolvable membrane. And the whole point is, there's enough water in the shower to be able to use personal care products that comes out of the shower. You shouldn't need to use a product which has a lot of water in anyway. Now, I guess that's how we started, Mo. I don't know if you want to add stuff onto that.
Yeah, so that's how the idea started, was this sort of frustration of there has to be a better way for us to consume personal care products, like many other products, but in particular personal care products, where the packaging is heavily dependent on non-sustainable solutions like plastic bottles and so on. So, and we dug a little deeper just to see the scale of the problem, and the numbers are quite astonishing. So there's around, from what we've seen, the latest reports we can find suggest that there's over 500 million shampoo bottles are thrown out in the UK each year. Now that sort when you break it down, that's about 16 every second, which doesn't seem a lot, but when it adds up, it's a significant amount. And to us, this is a big issue, and it's a big issue for many people in the industry. But I think, and what we've seen is that we'll get onto this, I guess, later on, but a lot of the development in the personal care industry has been around the formulation of the products. So whether it's shampoo or skincare, it's all been around formulation of the ingredients. And there's been some emphasis on the sustainability of those ingredients whilst ignoring the blatant issue of plastic. And there has been solutions. Again, I guess we'll talk about that as we go on. But I think, and this extends to other areas. So hotels, for example, who use, like James already mentioned, there's around 200 million miniature shampoo bottles get thrown out each year. So these are staggering numbers, and they add up to a significant problem that has been the case and has been increasing for a long time, and really no one's doing enough about it. And that's where the issue was sort of so big that we thought, right, there's got to be something done, and let's see if we can come up with a solution. And I guess that our biggest reason to start was that okay, plastic packaging is not sustainable. Can we create something that is?
Okay, yeah, great. And how is your business different from current market offerings?
So obviously, I haven't talked about the issue of plastic. Naturally, our products are plastic free. We are developing a film with partners to basically encapsulate personal care products in a plastic free membrane that is made from plant-based ingredients. Now, as well as that, obviously, I think the biggest difference from us, because there's a lot of companies that are trying to do plastic-free packaging in the form of refill services and things like that, but they don't really solve the problem. We don't believe they reduce plastic, but they don't replace it. And our goal was really to use zero plastic completely without any compromise. And the biggest driver behind that is that, so me and James both studied on the brand leadership course, so we're very marketing and brand led in our business. So one of the things that we did, so we don't have any science background, and our products require a lot of scientific development. So the thing that has helped us so far, so we've been running for, we started 2 years ago, and the thing that has helped us get this far is our brand vision, which James already talked about, and also our values. So I think the biggest thing, as well as being plastic free, I think for us that sets us apart from what's already out there, is that we put our brand values at the core of every decision we make. Now, there's been, as with any startup, there's always points of, okay, should we actually keep pushing this way, or should we compromise and use a bit of plastic or not? And it was always those values that we set out very early on that at the time we thought, okay, actually this is becoming a bit of a hindrance, like it's stopping us from making commercially sensible decisions. But those were commercially sensible, but actually didn't help the environment, actually harm the environment. So we always come back to those values. Now, again, what's already out there, the refills and the, for example, shampoo bars are really good for the environment. They're great. They don't come in any plastic packaging. However, the use, so the consumer use of it, the experience is not as good as liquid products. So in terms of what we're trying to achieve, we're trying to achieve something that isn't out there, creating a liquid personal care product that has no plastic and is sustainable in every shape or form. And we look at that from our suppliers to any ingredients we use goes through that lens of, is it environmentally friendly? We also have other credentials like being vegan and not tested on animals, no animal products. And we use that lens whenever there is a potential supplier. We look at every single step of that to make sure that it's not just the film that is plastic free, yet we're harming the environment in many other ways. I don't know if there's anything I've missed, James, or you want to add?
No, I think the key thing that you said was the no compromises thing, because the question being how are we different? With a lot of environmentally friendly solution, there are compromises you have to make. Like Mo said, for shampoo bars, our kind of research has found that they don't offer the same quality or performance as liquid products. So it's on the customer to make the compromise if they want to be environmentally friendly. You know, if you're buying liquid products, you're making a compromise on being environmentally friendly because you're buying it in a plastic bottle. And the refill services, you're making a compromise because the emphasis is on you to do more, and it takes your time to, you know, send the product back and make sure you get it again, and that kind of thing. And refill services, you know, like Mo said, they don't eliminate plastic. The end of life for those kind of sachets is still landfill. They can only be recycled so many times. It can't be recycled infinitely. So I think that's the main difference. Just finding something that consumers won't have to compromise on, but they can still feel like they're doing their bit.
Yeah, and I think time has come for companies to take the responsibility away. That we strongly believe it's time for new startups or existing businesses to take that responsibility away from the consumer to put something in recycling, because we all do it, yes, but to solve the plastic crisis, there needs to be a bigger change. And if we have to rely on consumers to do the right thing, which they may, and we're consumers too, we know that we may change our behaviours in the short run, but things happen, life gets busy, and then we forget. And recycling is one of those things that unfortunately we don't do enough of, and we have tried, and if it worked then we wouldn't be here. And I think recycling it doesn't work. We know it doesn't work. It's better than throwing it into landfill, but as James already mentioned, plastic, this isn't well known. I don't think, I didn't know this until we researched it. Plastic can only be recycled once, and this isn't something that any plastic packaging mentioned, which I think is quite annoying personally, because when you buy a bottle of water that says made from recycled plastic, that makes me feel good, or did, until I realized that once I'm done with this plastic bottle, because it's already been made from recycled material, the only place that bottle is going is landfill. So and I think one of our biggest things is to sort of take that sort of greenwashing, and also, like, we've done our bare minimum that we can do to be a good company, and we can now wash our hands of the guilt that our products sort of the damage that our products cause. So we really take it very, very granular and to sort of obsessive levels almost, because I think that's what this crisis needs.
Yeah, that's great. So last question, what advice can you give for those who want to start a sustainable business?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I you know, there's so many answers you can give, and I've written a few things down that I've thought of, but everyone's experience is going to be different, and everyone will start a business in their own way. So I think one of the key things is just finding your way, how you like to do business, and doing it. But some of the key things that really helped us, so the first thing I've written down is to build a network very early, a good network of like-minded people, and even if they're not, you know, business partners, just accelerators, incubators, things like that. There's things that exist to literally help you start up a company. And so I would say build a network early. 99% of people who you reach out to will want to help. And, you know, if you speak to a lot of people, all that advice really adds up, and you can, you know, you can get opinions from all over, and it can really clarify your kind of vision and where you want to go quite early. And then they stay along for the ride. We have people who've been with us, you know, for 2 years. They're not part of the company, but they love to know how we're doing, and they give us advice. And, you know, these are business owners, these are academics, everything. So it's really nice to have that kind of sounding board as well for big decisions. And when you go to put an advisory board together, they'll be able to help you there as well. The second thing I said I've written down is to do your research early. So before you even start, you need to do quite a lot of research and spend time diving into the kind of, what is the problem you want to solve, how do you want to do it, and understand kind of what everyone else in that space is doing to try and solve it, and ultimately how you're going to be different and better than them, because that's what, if you're looking to grow big, that's what investors will ask and will want to see is how you're going to be bigger, how you're going to be better, and what aren't they doing. So definitely do your research early. And then third thing I've put is to actually kind of, it sounds stupid, but actually start doing something, because I know for a lot of people looking to start a company, especially kind of with us young people who've got other things going on, maybe they're doing their degree at the same time, maybe they've just got a job or a graduate job, but they want to start a company. It's very hard to actually start, and where do you start? Because not everyone can just quit their job and start a company. It's not easy at all. So there's little things I think you can do kind of at the weekend, in an evening, little bits of research, and you'll find that these little things you do to start your company really add up, and then kind of before you know it, you've got enough to kind of build a business plan and take it further, and then make the leap. So it's kind of de-risking it a little bit. You don't want to just all of a sudden stop everything and jump in, but it is really important to actually make a start and do these little things to keep the flow going. Then I said get some early justification as to the potential of your concept, and this can be done through speaking to friends, to family, to colleagues. Make some questionnaires. You can do, there's kind of online questionnaires you can do. You can try and get your friends and network to do them for free, and there's obviously also paid options if you want to invest a little bit to kind of get some validation from potential customers as to, is there going to be demand for what you want to do? Is it worthwhile to do it? And I think that's going to be a key thing in your business plan, is to show, there is demand for this. It isn't, if it's a new concept, you have to show that. And what it can also do is highlight potential issues that maybe you haven't seen, because people like to give feedback. And if you say, we want feedback about everything, then you can tackle some of the hurdles early, so they don't come at a later time when you're pitching for millions to investors, and there's something you haven't thought of. So I would say that. And then the last thing, which Mo's actually already touched on, which was about how we're quite brand led, which was natural for us because we're both from a branding and marketing background. We've both worked in that industry and done our masters in it. But I would say, if the company is very early and you don't have a product and you're prototyping, then you need to be able to sell the vision. And I think that's what we've been quite good at, because we're quite a high tech company. It's taken a lot of R&D. We can't put physical products in front of people to kind of show them all the time. So what you have to do is you have to build a kind of a brand, basically, and a vision, and like I said, values and things like that. And then you have to make others believe in that and believe you're going to do this. And if they can see the potential that adds value to your business early, even if you haven't actually got the thing that you're going to be selling or anything like that. So we've kind of overdeveloped our brand for the stage that we are at. A lot of companies, tech companies, if they're doing research, they don't invest in marketing until they're ready to go. But we've kind of done it the other way around, and we've been successful with it. We've been able to sell the vision, which is really good. And yeah, people have bought into it. UEA has been massive for us in helping, and they've really bought into the vision, and it's great to be working with them.
And sorry, yeah, can I add also? So there's James touched on a lot of things there, but I think I just want to reiterate some of the points. I think the biggest thing that I've learned through this is that because we've done a business and then a branding or marketing masters afterwards, we assumed we knew everything, but we didn't. And the biggest thing that it's been a humbling experience, because you sort of have to still be ready to learn, because it's a whole new process, and neither of us have been involved in a startup before. So I would say, don't be afraid to learn. Don't be like, every day is a learning curve, and don't be afraid to change things based on what you've learned. If it means that you have to change some deadlines or some parts of your business, don't be afraid to do so. we thought when we started that we'd have something ready for market in 6 months, and we're 2 years down the line, and we are not quite there still. So again, like, be patient. Things do work slowly, especially when you rely on external suppliers and external partners who have different levels of bureaucracy and different levels of sort of stages that you have to pass to get things through. So things move slower than what we expected. So patience is a key. And I think I just want to reiterate that the support that's out there for startups, especially at UEA and the Enterprise Centre, the support is there. All people have to do, and this is it sounds easy, but it's the part that people forget, is to sort of ask for that help. We've been like overwhelmed by the support that we get when we ask for it, through the UEA and the Enterprise Centre, through funding, through mentoring, coaches. It's out there, and there's some really, really good, knowledgeable people that are really just ready to help. They're just ready to help without really wanting anything else in return. So there's plenty of funding opportunities. There's always new sort of grants and things that pop up, especially in the sustainable startup area, because it's an area that is very hot with especially through government funding and that sort of thing. So really look out there and speak to as many people as you can that are in that space, because money can be one of the biggest things, like if not the biggest thing for a startup, to find the money to do what you want to do, because without money, and for students especially, or people straight out of university, that money might not be there. So the support is out there. Just look for it and ask for it, and hopefully there will be someone there to help, like there was for us. And finally, just on that branding thing, we've been involved in pitches and practice pitches and like real pitches with investors, and we've seen extremely good ideas that are near completion or completed, ready for market, but they have not thought about their brand at all until that stage. And that's the thing that holds them back from receiving investment. So we've overdeveloped our brand, but to be honest, that's the benefit. There's actually benefits to that rather than negatives, because we've seen that how much of a problem it can be if you don't have a brand, if you don't have all the other sort of strategy and part of your launch ideas and things in place, and you focus so much on R&D and developing your product that you forget those things, and you're asking for investment and or trying to raise money, and the question gets asked, okay, so who's your target market? And we've seen people not have an answer to that, and that can be, quite devastating at that stage. So keep that in mind, develop your product, but also remember to develop your brand, and how you'll always have in the back of your mind, how am I going to take this to market? How am I going to get people to buy this? Because ultimately, without that, then there's nothing to sort of launch with.
Okay, perfect. So that's all the questions that we have. Thank you guys so much for answering them. I think that's it for this part.